and welcome to Trojan Sports Now. I'm Sarah Drake.
And I'm Briana Jones. Stick around as we bring you the latest news and scores from Troy Athletics.
On the gridiron, the Sun Belt Conference champion Troy Trojans took their first step towards defending their title yesterday afternoon as they hit the practice field for the first time of spring camp. Tuesday marked the first day of spring, and it also marked the first of 15 spring practices for the defending Sun Belt Conference champions. And with the young team this year, head coach Neil Brown mentioned some players that stood out to him on the first day of practice.
Zoe Bridges, he had off-season ankle surgery, and he looked better than he has during my tenure here. I thought he looked really good. Tron Folsom, obviously, was second-team All-Conference player last year. I thought he made some couple good plays.
The first practice also featured junior Kayla Barker and redshirt sophomore Sawyer Smith taking center stage for the first time as they battled for the starting quarterback position. And Brown says that the team has confidence in both of them.
Sawyer, 2 years ago, got a lot of good game repetitions. Caleb last year got a lot of good game repetitions. We were intentional about playing them early in our non-conference games, and they got multiple series. And then they ran spring practice. They had every snap in spring practice a year ago. So our team's got confidence in them. We played pretty well on offense at the end of the spring last year, so those guys gained some trust, and so it was positive.
While the quarterbacks will battle all throughout spring practice, the Trojans' offensive line will be leaned on as Brown speaks on some of those players.
Crumney's going to be a four-year starter, playing center, an all-league player a year ago. You got J.L. Gaston, who's had a great offseason, put on some good weight. I think he's ready to take the next step and be an all-conference type player. And then Tristan Crowder, I think he's maybe as talented as anybody we have offensively. I thought Austin Stidham, as a redshirt freshman, ran with the ones today at left tackle, and I thought he was sharp. We're ready where we can lean on the offensive line, maybe for the first time during our tenure here.
Brown also addresses how players will be able to prove they're ready to play with others out due to injury.
In the spring, we just got to be smart. We probably won't be able to tackle as much as maybe we have the last couple years, but it also gives guys opportunities that are out here to prove that they're ready. They have 15 practices, and then everybody new that's coming in this summer, they'll have about 16 to 18 practices to prove that they're ready to play.
The Trojans will have 14 more spring practices and will open the 2018 season at home against Boise State on September 1st in Veterans Memorial Stadium.
Position battles highlighted the Trojan football team's first day of spring practice Tuesday. And as my co-host Sarah Drake shows us, the quarterback one is taking center stage.
For the first time in recent memory, the Trojan football team will have a true quarterback battle during spring practice. Junior Kayla Barker and redshirt sophomore Sawyer Smith will battle throughout spring to earn the starting quarterback position. And head coach Neil Brown says that no matter which one wins, the team has confidence in both of them.
Sawyer, 2 years ago, got a lot of good game repetitions. Caleb last year got a lot of good game repetitions. We were intentional about playing them early in our non-conference games, and they got multiple series. And then they ran spring practice. They had every snap in spring practice a year ago, so our team's got confidence in them.
Both Barker and Smith were able to take most of the snaps last spring as then quarterback Brandon Silvers was out due to injury, and they explained how that helped them prepare for this year's battle.
Honestly, without the fact knowing that Silvers would be back for the fall, because I was taking a lot of the one reps due to him being out, but it's different in my head knowing that I'm competing for the spot, so not having to worry about Silvers being back in the fall.
Last spring, I wasn't going out there and competing for a starting job, so competition-wise, I think I'm more focused, ready to go every day, and I think just like that difference right there brings out the best in me.
Knowing the team has confidence in him, Barker says he is ready to step up and be a leader this season.
It feels good having the team behind me. I have more of a leadership role now that I'm stepping into, and I'm ready to take that on full speed.
Last year, Smith took a redshirt season and says he learned a lot from Silvers being able to do that.
I think that was the best thing in my football career I've done. I did coverages during games, so I got to sit back and really learn coverages and everything like that, and then just being in Brandon's back pocket, kind of just trying to get everything out of him before he got out of here. I've learned so much from Brandon and everything like that, and just kind of sitting back and getting to watch last year really helped me out.
And if you were wondering, Brown has not yet made a decision on a starting quarterback.
My opinion on quarterback is when you know. I mean, it's usually pretty clear and pretty obvious to everyone. And when it's clear and obvious, we'll make that decision.
You can see who Brown chooses as starting quarterback on September 1st when the Trojans take on the Boise State Broncos. Sarah Drake, Trojan Sports Now. While many students were enjoying spring break, the Trojan baseball team could not rest from swinging their bats. Friday opened the first conference series as the team hosted the Little Rock Trojans. Nick Brooks has the story.
In a weekend where runs were hard to come by, Sunday's rubber match did not disappoint as it was an all-out pitcher's duel. Head coach Mark Smart talks about the Trojans' performance on the mound of late.
Our pitching's been terrific, really since that debacle on Sunday, that 13-12 game. We haven't given up more than 1 or 2 runs a game, and today we gave up 3 in 1 inning. But yeah, I mean, we've pitched well enough to win.
Despite a solid pitching performance, the Trojans of Troy lost Sunday's game 3-1, resulting in only taking 1 out of the 3-game series. Coach Smart talks about the positives and the negatives of the weekend.
We didn't swing the bat at all, and when you score 4 runs in 3 games and get a game, you got to probably feel pretty good about that. We were fortunate Saturday to win 2-0.
Coach Smart talks about what he hopes to see from the Trojans coming up.
Hopefully we'll continue to pitch this way, because if we do, we're going to be a really good ball club when our offense gets situated.
Coach Smart talks about the upcoming week for the Trojans.
Try to get a midweek win to get some confidence back, and then we've got a tough road series. We have our first conference road trip to Lafayette, which is a place that's always difficult to win.
The Trojans take on Sanford at home this Tuesday at 6 p.m. Nick Brooks, Troy, Trojan Vision Sports.
And as for the softball team, who also opened conference play over the break against both Georgia Southern and ULM, while squeezing 2 non-conference games against Southern Miss, they were even in losses and wins during that time. The Trojans wrapped up their series with a 4-6 loss against ULM Sunday after defeating them twice. The Trojans struck first as sophomore Katie Webb stepped up and delivered a sacrifice fly to bring teammate junior Taylor Corbick home to take the lead. The Warhawks would answer, scoring 4 runs, taking a 4-1 lead, and although the Trojans scored again, the Warhawks were always 1 step ahead.
The Trojan baseball team was looking for a bounce-back win Tuesday night after falling to Arkansas Little Rock on Sunday. And as Nick Brooks shows us, they got exactly what they were looking for.
The Trojans ended their 4-game homestand against Sanford in thrilling fashion,
Yeah,
routing the
I thought so.
Bulldogs
I was like-
14-2 on a windy night at Riddle Pace Field. After Tuesday's win, this marks the first time in school history the Trojans have swept UAB and Sanford in the same season. Head coach Mark Smart comments on the historical feat.
I'm really proud of that. You know, we take pride in playing our in-state opponents, and we try our best to win those games. To go 4-0 against those 2 teams, I think, is a great testament to the work our guys have done.
It was an exciting night at Riddle Pace Field as the Trojans combined for 14 runs on 9 hits and were 6 outs away from a team no-hitter. Coach Smart and pitcher Levi Thomas talk about the no-hit bid.
It was kind of a unique thing. You kind of lost track of that because we used different pitchers and had another guy in a game, another guy in a game. So I didn't even kind of really know it until they rolled a single into left field. And
that would have been an incredible feeling. I mean, I can't imagine the pressure to going into the later innings with the pitchers. That's got to be a terrible feeling knowing that the whole team's rooting for you like that. But it'd been awesome.
Coach Smart talks about the scoring outburst for the Trojans.
I mean, we needed to score, take some pressure off. You could see it in the dugout. We relaxed a little bit after we scored in the first inning. We've played a lot of close games lately, and we haven't scored a lot here of late. So it was good to get some runs early, take the pressure off the pitching staff.
Infielder Manning Early led the way for the Trojan offense and talks about the night.
It feels good, but hopefully just stay consistent. That's what my main thing right now.
Thomas talks about getting his first win as a Trojan.
You just dreamed about things like this as a little kid, and to say that you got a college win now under your belt was an awesome feeling.
The Trojans go on the road this weekend as they play Louisiana Lafayette in a 3-game conference series. Nick Brooks, Troy, Trojan Vision Sports.
The softball team dropped a pair of games against the number 14 Florida State Seminoles Wednesday. Troy led early in Game 1, but FSU piled on 11 runs late to win 12-2, and the Seminoles bat stayed hot for Game 2 as well. The Seminoles tailed 9 runs to beat the Trojans 9-1 in the nightcap.
The men's basketball team entered the Sun Belt Conference tournament as the number 7 seed and looked to get another banner in their arena, but things didn't go the way they would have liked. After defeating number 10 South Alabama, the team faced Georgia State for the 3rd time this season, with the first 2 games being a win, but they didn't seem to have the same momentum this time around. The Trojans went cold early, missing the first 7 shots, while the Panthers were hot, knocking down just about everyone they put up. The Trojans did not lead the entire game, but a comeback attempt came in the 4th quarter from seniors Juan Davis and Wesley Person with back-to-back threes to reduce the deficit by 14. But it wasn't enough as the Trojans fell 51-73. The men end their season with a 16-17 overall record.
The women also defeated the South Alabama Jaguars in their first game in the Sun Belt tournament while aiming for another championship ring on their fingers. After creating an upset against the #1 team, Little Rock Trojans, earlier in the season, defeating them 76-70 in an overtime game, the Troy Trojans didn't have as much luck this time around. The battle of this Trojans was intense as the teams constantly held each other within only 1 or 2 points. With only a second left, the Troy Trojans were down by 3, but their inbounds pass was tipped by a Little Rock player, which gave the ladies no more opportunities at a shot, with the final being 63-66. The ladies end their season with an overall of 18-13.
The finale of Troy's men's tennis 5-game road stretch ended with a thud as the Trojans' 4-match winning streak was ended following a 4-0 shutout loss to William and Mary on Sunday. Little went the Trojans' way as the Tribe won 2 of 3 doubles matches with an identical score of 6-2 and held Troy to 2 sets in all 3 singles wins, with 3 of the single losses coming in shutout fashion. Mustafa Belcora was the recipient of 2 of 3 shutouts as he fell 6-0 in straight sets, while Jia Duan was defeated by a narrow 6-4 margin in both of his singles losses.
After earning a big conference win on the road against UTA, the Troy women's tennis team dropped to SMU and North Texas 4-1 on Friday and Saturday to round out its spring break road trip. On Friday, SMU swept the doubles matches 6-1, 6-2, and 6-4, taking the early point. Freshman Mattia Mijavelek picked up the Trojans' lone win of the day with a 6-3 and 6-2 win. Troy then made the trip to Denton on Saturday, but fell 4-1 to North Texas. Freshman Pij Yu and Maria Casas Blas won the first doubles match of the day, 6-1. But the Mean Green stormed back to take the last 2 matches to clinch the doubles point in singles play. Nancy Karaki defeated her opponent 6-1 and 7-5, but North Texas took the next 3 matches to seal the win.
Despite carding 15 birdies, the men's golf team could not overcome some big numbers in Tuesday's final round of the Linger Longer Invitational, as the Trojans slipped into 14th place overall. The Trojans finished 9th overall in the field with 49 birdies over the 3 rounds, led by 13 from Connor Futrell. Futrell dropped in 5 birdies on the day and made the turn at even, but took a quad on the back 9 to shoot 5 over for the day. Dean Martin paced the Trojans with a 2 over 74 on Tuesday as he carded 4 birdies and avoided a big number to finish in a tie for 45th place overall. Callum Masters added 4 birdies en route to shooting a 3 over and tying for 53rd place overall. Mac Murphy slipped into a tie for 53rd place with Masters after shooting 9 over on Tuesday, while Alexander shot a 4 over in the final round.
The Trojan track and field team brought home 8 event wins to kick off the outdoor season at the Jaguar Classic in Mobile this weekend. The Trojans dominated on the women's side of the track with 4 of their 8 wins. Javen Wortham gave the Trojans their only win in the field events with a 50.76-meter throw in the women's discus. As for the men's, their 4x400-meter relay team came away with the victory.
Still to come on Trojan Sports Now, we'll have a preview of the Trojan baseball team's matchup against Louisiana Lafayette.
But first, Sarah sits down with men's tennis player Andy Law. Stick around for more Trojan Sports Now.